I was in the car when my phone rang. It was the hospital. The doctor told me my mother was in critical condition, fighting for her life. Desperate, I begged Adam Davis to come with me. But instead of showing concern, he snapped at me for interrupting his meeting with his secretary Mariana, his mistress. Furious, he shoved me out of the car and drove off. With my feet bloodied from the rough pavement, I dragged myself to the hospital as fast as I could. But I was too late. My mother had missed the crucial treatment and I never got to say goodbye. When I walked out of the hospital, my phone buzzed with a social media notification. It was a new post from his mistress. I just sprained my ankle and my bossy CO boyfriend not only rushed me to the hospital but even gifted me a villa as compensation. The photo attached was a mess, stockings and lingerie scattered across the floor. And in the reflection of the window, Adam's bare back was clearly visible. I stared at the screen for a long moment, then quietly canceled the wedding and booked a one-way ticket out of town. No matter how much Adam begged me afterward, I never looked back. The moment I booked my ticket, Adam's call came through. "Michelle, what the hell did you just charge to my credit card?" His voice was sharp, accusatory. "You'd better behave. If you don't stay put like a good girl, you can forget about marrying me." I listened quietly, unmoved. 8 years. That's how long Adam had used marriage as bait to keep me tied to him. He convinced me to give up better job opportunities and move to this unfamiliar city with him. He persuaded me to invest my savings to help him start his business. He talked me into quitting my job so I could be the perfect housewife, his personal maid. Really. And just recently he dangled marriage in front of me again, tricking me into picking out our so-called dream home. I spent weeks searching, making sure everything was perfect. But in the end the house wasn't for us. It was a gift. One he generously handed over to Mariana, his mistress, as a token of his affection. $1 million home for her. A $200 plane ticket for me, and suddenly he was outraged. I let out a bitter laugh. "You're right. I don't want to get married anymore. We're done." Silence. Then a cold chuckle. "What kind of game are you playing?" His voice dripped with mockery as he sneered. "And just who do you think has been taking care of you all these years? Without me, who the hell would want you? You're nothing but a used-up toy I got to enjoy for free." His words were knives. Once they would have cut me deep. Once I would have been heartbroken, scared. I would have cried. I would have apologized. But now I felt nothing. Calmly I corrected him. 8 years. We've been together for 8 years. 8 years of my youth. 8 years wasted on a man who never intended to marry me. If my mother's death hadn't woken me up, I might have kept waiting for a promise that was never real. But I finally understood. A man who refused to give me a title for 8 years never truly intended to make me his wife. I hung up. Then I hailed a cab home to pack. Halfway through, I realized how little I actually owned. Adam's suits and shirts filled the closets, neatly pressed, row after row. His armor for every business deal. Every glamorous event. Me. All I had were a few old coats washed so many times the fabric had started to fade. As I stood there lost in thought, the door swung open. Adam stormed in. "What the hell are you spacing out for? Look at this mess. Can't you do anything right?" I clutched the old sweater my mother had knitted for me years ago, and before I could stop myself, tears began to fall. Adam reached out, shoving me lightly, then hesitated when he saw my tears. "Oh, come on. I just said a few things. Do you really have to cry like this?" He sighed, exasperated. "Mariana got hurt at work. As her boss, it's only right that I take care of her." Then he scoffed. "You're about to be my wife. You can't seriously be jealous of one of my employees." Employee? My mind flashed to that torn stocking in the photo. So their workplace was in bed. Disgusted, I stepped away from his touch. Annoyed, he pulled out a credit card and tossed it at my face. "Enough of this," he said impatiently. "Go buy yourself something nice. Consider it my way of making it up to you. And focus on planning the wedding instead of wasting your time on pointless drama." A few hours ago, this very card could have saved my mother's life. Now, like our 8 years together, it was nothing more than worthless trash. I opened my mouth to speak, but before I could, Adam's phone rang. Mariana's sweet, childish voice filled the room. "Adam, I loved the lemon chicken you made last time. I've been craving it so much. Can you come over and make it for me again tonight?" Adam glanced at me, then walked into the yard to take the call. His voice was softer than I'd ever heard it before, filled with a warmth he had never once used on me. "Of course, baby. I'll be there soon." A few murmured words followed, "Sweetheart, good girl, miss you already," before he hung up. He barely spared me a look as he grabbed his keys and headed for the door. But before leaving, he did remember to remind me to clean up the house and iron the shirt he planned to wear tomorrow. 8 years. In all that time, Adam had only stepped into the kitchen once. He had nearly broken every dish, fumbling around like a fool. I had thought he was just clumsy. I had even found it cute. And so, for 8 years I cooked for him. Yet today, I learned from another woman that Adam was perfectly capable of cooking. He just had never cared enough to do it for me. I wiped away my tears and bent down to pick up the discarded credit card. 8 years ago I stayed for love. I stayed to help my mother with her medical bills. I followed Adam to this unfamiliar city, believing in a future that never existed. But now the love was gone. My mother was gone. And I had nothing left to stay for. All I wanted was to lay my mother to rest. And then, finally, I could leave this place behind. I tended to my wounds as best as I could before heading to the hospital to complete my mother's death certificate. A whole person reduced to a single sheet of paper. It felt unbearably heavy in my hands. After scheduling her cremation for the next day, I returned home and began sorting through her belongings, tears blurring my vision. Hours passed. By evening, as I sifted through an old storage box, my fingers brushed against a folded piece of paper. Adam's wedding sketch from years ago. I froze. A memory surfaced. Back then we had nothing. We were broke. Struggling. But Adam had taken my hand in front of my mother and made a solemn vow. "Michelle, one day I'll make it. And when I do, I'll give you the grandest wedding, the kind you deserve. I'll make up for everything you've been through." To prove he meant it, he had stayed up all night, carefully sketching out every detail, making sure it was exactly what I liked. How ironic. Promises couldn't stand the test of time. And an old love could never compete with a new one. Just as I was about to throw the sketch away, Adam walked in. His expression darkened when he noticed I hadn't cooked. But when his gaze landed on the sketch in my hands, he let out a mocking laugh. "This is what you wasted your whole day on? This ugly, outdated nonsense? No wonder only an old woman like you would like something this tacky." He scoffed, shaking his head. "It's not like I'm short on money. Why bother with some cheap amateur design? If you're really struggling, I'll just let Mariana pick out a dress for you. She's got much better taste." He had forgotten our past. Forgotten his promises. I said nothing. Without hesitation I tossed the sketch and everything it once meant into the trash. Adam frowned, studying me. Still sulking. He sighed. "Fine. I already spoke to a private surgeon about your mom's condition. With the right treatment, maybe she'll even be able to attend our wedding." Then, as if that would fix everything, he reached out and patted my head, just like he did with Mariana. "There. Happy now." My heart clenched. I was too disgusted to call out his pathetic lie. Too exhausted to argue. I simply turned away, letting my tears fall silently. Adam's patience finally snapped. With a sharp shove he growled, "Did you not hear me? What's with the attitude? You're so damn ungrateful. You're not half as good as Mariana and you've got the worst temper. No wonder no one wants you." My foot hit the edge of the table, reopening my wound. Blood seeped through the bandages. But Adam didn't spare me a glance. He grabbed his keys, slammed the door and left. I knew this game too well. First, he'd tear me down with his words, making me question my worth. Then he'd give me the silent treatment, cutting off financial support, waiting for me to break. Waiting for me to crawl back, crying, begging for forgiveness for a crime I never committed. In the past I had apologized. I had even fallen to my knees, pleading. But never again. This time, Adam would wait forever for an apology that would never come. All that awaited him was an empty house. I threw out the cheap couple's trinkets he had once gifted me and packed up the old clothes he found so embarrassing. Then, with his credit card, I booked a room at a nearby hotel for the night. After showering, I curled up in bed, exhausted. But just as I was about to sleep, my phone lit up with a new post from Mariana. She flaunted her hand in the photo, showing off a sparkling diamond ring. The caption read, "Happy 100-day anniversary." Only the dumbest woman would let go of such a perfect man. Adam remembered Mariana's birthday. Their every little anniversary. But today was my birthday. And he had forgotten. Every year, whenever I asked to celebrate, he would frown and say, "Michelle, do you have any idea how hard I work for this money? Why do you insist on wasting it on meaningless things? Do you even want to get married? If you do, stop pestering me about useless crap." I had believed him. I had spent years waiting, sacrificing, giving without complaint. And in the end I was left with nothing. I let out a quiet laugh and blocked Mariana's account. He can have him. I sure as hell don't want him anymore. Early the next morning I was jolted awake by the sound of my phone ringing. Adam's name flashed across the screen. "Where the hell did you go? No cooking. No cleaning, and now you're running away like some spoiled brat? Do you even realize you're 35? Do you really think you have the luxury of being this reckless?" Then his voice turned sharp with irritation. "And what the hell happened to the carpet? Do you even know how much that cost? Mariana personally picked it out. It's an imported piece worth 50 grand. I hung up without a word. He hadn't even noticed that all my things were gone. He hadn't bothered to ask why I was injured. To him, anything related to Mariana, even a damn carpet, was more valuable than me. More valuable than my mother's life. A day ago those words would have crushed me. I would have drowned in guilt, desperate to make things right with him. But now, I had too much to do to waste a single ounce of emotion on Adam. Checking the time, I got up, freshened up, and headed to the mall to buy a new suitcase. I picked one in my mother's favorite color. As I wheeled it out, ready to head to the crematorium, a familiar voice drifted through the air. "Adam, my foot hurts so much." I looked up and saw them, Adam and Mariana, wrapped up in their little world. Adam playfully tapped her nose, then in full view of the public, scooped her up effortlessly in his arms. I stood frozen in place. A brutal memory surged forward. The day I begged Adam to take me to the hospital. I had clutched his sleeve, desperate, as he shoved me out of the car, watching coldly as I hit the pavement, my skin torn open and bleeding. I had reached out, hoping he'd help me up. But all I got was a sneer. "You always have to put on a show, don't you? No matter how pitiful you try to look. I'm not giving you a damn cent. Mariana's waiting for me. Maybe when you learn to be as sweet and obedient as her, I'll start listening to you." That was the last thing he said before walking away. And now, here he was, treating Mariana with the tenderness I had begged for. I willed myself to turn and leave, swallowing the pain in my throat. But Adam noticed me. His body stiffened and he hurriedly set Mariana down. Then his eyes flicked to my suitcase. A cold smile curved on his lips. "Michelle, were you following me?" Before I could respond, he let out a snort. His gaze dropping to the suitcase. "Spending money like water, huh? I don't remember approving any honeymoon trips for you. You barely ever leave the house, so what the hell do you even need a suitcase for? Just another excuse to waste my money." For Adam, I had loved traveling. I used to wander through national parks, hiking trails, and scenic towns, enjoying the solitude of the open world. But after I met him, I had no choice but to save every penny, pouring my money into his dreams. And once he finally succeeded, he spent his wealth exploring the world. With Mariana. While I was locked in our home waiting for him to return like some lifeless puppet. I had endured it long enough. Ignoring his anger, I spoke, my voice cold and steady. "I bought it because I wanted to. And in case you forgot, some of your money belongs to me. Including that house you gifted her." His expression twisted. "Wow. You really have no shame, do you?" He grabbed a small wallet from his pocket and threw it at my head. Then he lifted Mariana's wrist, flashing her expensive Birkin bag in my face. "You think I need your money?" He spat. "I just don't waste it on the wrong person. She deserves the best, including that house. I've got a company to run. Mariana helps me with networking and events. She actually contributes something, so I reward her. But you? A lazy, useless parasite? Spending on you is a complete waste." His voice was loud enough to draw attention. Bystanders slowed, whispering, their curious gazes burning into my skin. I pressed my palm against my forehead, wincing at the sharp sting where his wallet had struck me. Adam took my silence as submission. His tone softened, condescending. "Fine. Fine. Keep the damn suitcase. Don't be so dramatic. You know I don't care about the money. I'm spending a fortune on our wedding, aren't I? Just be good and, Mariana suddenly gasped, her eyes filling with tears. Adam, everyone's staring at me, her voice quivered. Michelle hates me, doesn't she? She's trying to embarrass me on purpose. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Adam hesitated. Then he looked at me. And just like that, the decision was made. He turned away and wrapped an arm around Mariana, shielding her. Without another word he left, leaving me standing there alone, under the weight of strangers' judgmental stares. I looked down at the wallet on the ground. A tiny designer accessory worth thousands. Adam was without a doubt a wealthy man. A shrewd businessman. His money could be spent freely on his mistress, on lavish parties, on a wedding meant to boost his status. But not on me. Because in his eyes I wasn't worth it. Once upon a time I had loved him. A cheap trinket and a hollow promise had been enough to keep me by his side. Not anymore. Wiping the blood from my forehead, I picked up his credit card and maxed it out on everything I had ever denied myself. And then I walked away for good. I spent the money meant for the wedding on something far more meaningful, giving my mother the resting place she deserved. A luxurious plot in our hometown, the finest earned money could buy. As I was about to return to my hotel, I suddenly remembered that I had left something at Adam's office. I decided to make a detour. When I arrived, the office felt different. The colleagues who had once been friendly to me were long gone, pushed out by Mariana. No doubt. The new employees barely concealed their disdain, deliberately making things difficult for me. If you really have business here, prove your relationship with Mr. Davis. I searched my phone for a photo. Any photo. But I found nothing. Not a single picture of Adam and me together. The receptionist sneered. Please. Any random woman off the street could pull this act. Everyone knows Mr. Davis only has eyes for Mariana. I didn't need her to tell me. The proof was all over his office walls. Framed pictures of Adam and Mariana. Their smiles glowing under expensive chandeliers and exotic landscapes. I swallowed my pride and reached for my phone to call him. Before I could dial, he walked in, already looking irritated. What are you doing here? I met his gaze, my voice steady. Give me back my bracelet. The one my mother gave you. She had gifted it to him because she had truly believed in him. She had truly believed we would be happy together. She had hoped we wouldn't repeat her tragic love story. But Adam wasn't worthy of my love. And he sure as hell wasn't worthy of my mother's faith. Before he could answer, Mariana sauntered in, her voice dripping with mockery. Oh, that old thing? She let out a laugh. Adam can't be seen wearing something so cheap. I threw it away ages ago. Then, as if that wasn't enough, she lifted her wrist, flashing a glittering diamond necklace. You really need to improve your taste, Michelle. Here, take this. Adam's given me plenty. I bet you've never worn anything this nice in your life. That was it. I slapped her. Hard. The next thing I knew, my head slammed into the edge of a desk. The world spun. Adam's hand twisted in my hair, yanking me upright like a demon straight from hell. Apologize to Mariana, he hissed. Pain exploded through my scalp, sharp and relentless. My grip loosened. My suitcase toppled over, its contents spilling onto the floor. Before I could react, Mariana's hand shot out, grabbing the urn. My chest seized. Put that down. My voice was hoarse, trembling. Mariana examined it with a smirk. What's this? Don't touch it. I lunged for her, but the pain in my skull sent me crashing to the floor. And then she threw it. The urn hit the ground with a sickening crack, shattering into pieces. For a moment, everything went silent. Then my world collapsed. I scrambled forward, my breath coming in gasps, my hands shaking uncontrollably as I tried to gather the remains. Adam, my voice broke. That's my mother. You bastard. Do you even remember what you promised her? Years ago he had sworn to cherish me, to build a future with me, to make up for everything I had sacrificed. All of it. He had stolen my love, stolen my mother's savings, and left me shattered, just like that urn. Adam stood frozen, his expression unreadable. Then, after a long pause, he scoffed. What the hell are you talking about? Your mom's fine. Stop making things up. Mariana wrinkled her nose, nudging the broken pieces with her foot. Oh please. Who are you trying to fool? Adam's face darkened. His voice turned sharp. Michelle, do you even hear yourself? First she's sick, now she's dead? Do you think we're all as brainless as you? He didn't care. He never cared. He stepped around me as if I were nothing, reaching for Mariana's hand. It's okay, baby, he murmured, soothing her like she was the victim. Don't be scared. Let's get you to the hospital. Then, with a glance over his shoulder, he added, Don't worry, I won't let this crazy woman off the hook. Around us, the office staff, Mariana's loyal little entourage, raised their phones, recording every humiliating second. I didn't hear them. Didn't hear the whispers. Didn't feel the stares. All I could do was kneel there, numb, carefully gathering what was left of my mother's ashes. I had to get out. Had to get her out of this vile, disgusting place. When I finally made it back to the hotel, my body ached, my hands trembling as I placed what remained of my mother back into my suitcase. Then my phone vibrated. It was a message from Adam. We're getting married soon, so I'll let this slide. Just kneel and apologize to Mariana and I won't press charges. Even now he thought I was still desperate to be his wife. Even now he thought I would beg. I blocked his number. Then without a second thought I wiped my tears, took my mother's remains and boarded the next flight home. After a 10-hour flight, the plane landed smoothly. 8 years. It had been 8 years since I last set foot in my hometown. The streets were still familiar, but the person who used to wait for me at home, the one who always had a warm meal ready, my mother, was now nothing more than a handful of ashes. I contacted the cemetery and arranged for her to be laid to rest properly. Then I bought a bouquet of tulips, her favorite, and placed them gently in front of her gravestone. Looking at the familiar smile etched into the cold stone, my tears fell silently. Mom, I'm sorry. I was too foolish. I loved the wrong person. I promise I'll try to forget the past. I'll stay here with you and start over. Adam had been right about one thing. I was desperate for love. Growing up in a fractured home with my parents constantly at odds and my mother's failing health, I had latched onto the smallest bit of kindness Adam gave me. I had mistaken his attention for love, his empty promises for devotion. He had fooled both me and my mother with his carefully crafted mask. But the moment he was certain I had nowhere else to go, he showed his true colors, trampling my love, my trust, my very soul beneath his feet. But he had forgotten. Love runs out. And people leave. For years I had swallowed my pain, buried my grievances and pretended everything was fine, because I didn't want my mother to worry. Now I had nothing left to hold me back. Sitting by her grave I told her everything. About the last few days. About the last few years. Maybe it was the weight of 8 years' worth of suffering. Maybe it was the sheer relief of finally letting it all out. I talked and talked until the sun dipped below the horizon. Until the moonlight bathed me in a pale glow. Only then did I reluctantly say goodbye. When I returned home, dust had settled thickly over every surface. But the house was still standing. And thankfully still livable. I bought a few daily necessities expecting a restless night. But for the first time in years I slept soundly. No Adam to wait up for. No shirts to iron. No endless chores chaining me down, draining the life out of me. By morning, birdsong woke me gently. As I stretched, preparing to clean the house, my phone buzzed. The screen was flooded with messages. All from Adam. Different numbers. Same desperation. Michelle, where the hell are you? Why aren't you home? Where did you put those couple slippers we bought? I can't find them anywhere. He must have brought Mariana home. What is wrong with you lately? Do you still want to get married or not? You're 35, Michelle. Who else would even want you? There are plenty of women lining up to take your place. If you don't show up soon, I'll replace you in a second. Replace me? He had already given our home to Mariana. Even if I had stayed, he would have swapped me out at the altar without a second thought, thinking I was an embarrassment. Then the next message, so, your mom really died? That can't be right. The doctor said that with proper treatment she had a chance to wake up. The moment I read those words, a sharp, searing pain tore through my chest. If Adam hadn't wasted so much time that day, if he had just taken me to the hospital, my mother might still be alive. I gripped my phone tightly, my hands trembling uncontrollably. It wasn't just Adam's fault. It was mine. I had let him control me. I had trusted him. And because of that, my mother had lost her last chance. My knees buckled. I collapsed onto the floor, clutching my mother's photo, and let out a heart-wrenching sob. I cried until my body felt hollow, until the edges of my vision blurred with dizziness. Then a knock at the door. I staggered to my feet, my body weak from the weight of grief. When I opened the door, Adam stood there. He looked like he had rushed over, his clothes slightly disheveled. Exhaustion etched into his face. "Michelle, why did you run off here without telling me? Do you still want to get married or not?" His accusations faltered when he saw my swollen, tear-streaked eyes. Then his gaze shifted past me, to the framed photo of my mother. His brows furrowed slightly. I didn't know your mom had passed away. No wonder you've been acting so different these past few days." He let out a sigh, then pulled out a check. "I've been busy with work. I didn't have time to help you with the funeral. Here. Take this. Get things sorted and come back. We can push the wedding back a few years if that's what you need." I didn't know when Adam had actually found out about my mother's death. I only knew that he was the same as ever. Shameless. Selfish. First he belittled me. Then he tried to pacify me with money, thinking it would be enough to make me crawl back. It had worked for 8 years. But not anymore. I refused to waste another word on him. "We're done. Now get the hell out of my house or I'm calling the police." Adam's expression flickered, shock. Then frustration. "What are you talking about? When did we break up? We were about to get married." I let out a bitter laugh. Fresh tears rolling down my cheeks. He had taken everything from me, and he still had the audacity to believe I would marry him. "We broke up the day you shoved me out of your car. The day my mother died because of you. The day you bought a house for Mariana and moved in with her. That was the day I walked away. And if my mother had lived, if she had somehow survived, I might have forgiven Adam for leaving me bloodied on the street. But she hadn't. She had died while Adam was right there in the hospital. If he had just spared 1 second to listen, if he had just stepped into her room and just looked at her, she might not have missed the crucial window for treatment. But he hadn't. All he cared about was Mariana's sprained ankle. He had completely forgotten about the dying woman on that hospital bed, forgotten about the daughter who had run until her feet bled, desperate for one last goodbye. Even now, just thinking about that day made it hard to breathe. And yet Adam stood there, utterly unaffected. As if nothing had happened. As if he still expected me to go home and cook his meals, iron his shirts, and cater to his every whim. "I never agreed to break up," he snapped. His voice growing agitated. "Your mother's death has nothing to do with our relationship. She's in heaven now, Michelle. Don't you think she would want you to find a good husband? A good future?" I let out a cold laugh. "You're delusional." Adam's jaw clenched. He took a step toward me, his fists curling at his sides. "You'd better watch yourself." I moved first. Snatching the nearest vase from the table, I hurled it at him. It barely missed, shattering against the ground at his feet. Water splashed up, soaking his expensive suit. For a moment Adam just stood there, blinking as the cold water dripped down his face. Then he sighed. Slowly he wiped his face, and when he spoke again his voice was eerily calm. "Fine. I'll let this slide. You just lost your mother. You're emotional. I get it. But Michelle, listen to me." His tone shifted, coaxing. "My parents love you. Since your mom is gone, why don't you treat them as your own? They'll take care of you just like a real daughter." I froze. Then rage burned through me like wildfire. "You shut up." I grabbed a broom and swung at him, fury and grief breaking through all my restraint. Tears streamed down my face, but I no longer cared. I wanted him to see them. I wanted him to see the devastation he had caused. Glaring at him, I hissed, "Do you really not remember how your parents treated me?" Adam avoided my gaze, his eyes darting away, unwilling to answer. But I knew he remembered. Back when his career was just starting, when we were still in love, no matter how busy he was, he would always make time for me. Long walks, late-night street food. Quiet moments just for us. But his parents had never approved of me. They constantly criticized me, complained that I wasn't good at housework, accused me of spending money recklessly, even showed up at my workplace to demand that I quit my job and focus on family. Adam's career is taking off. He needs a supportive wife. A woman should prioritize the family. If you can't even manage simple chores, how will you ever run a household? Under the relentless pressure from his entire family, I gave up my career. Back then I had naively believed that if two people worked together, life would naturally get better. But when I finally mastered housework, when I turned his home into a place of comfort and order, they found new reasons to despise me. I was getting too old, they said. I might struggle to conceive, they warned. I wasn't young and beautiful enough to bring to business events. I was just a housewife, of no use to Adam's success. So, behind my back they set him up on blind dates. And when Adam started cheating with Mariana, they helped him hide it from me. I clenched my fists, my voice unwavering. Adam, I gave my whole heart to you and your family. And what did I get in return? Fine. Let's say I was blind for those 8 years. I'll take full responsibility for that mistake. But from this moment on, we are done. No more unfinished business. No more loose ends. I never want to see you again. I had no interest in rehashing every betrayal, every wound. I had wasted enough of my life on him. Now I wanted to move on. I wanted a life without Adam. But he wouldn't let me. He blocked the doorway, refusing to budge. I shoved him, but he stood firm, gritting his teeth. And then he snapped. Michelle, you think you can just walk away after 8 years? You think you can throw away our love, our marriage, like it's nothing? I laughed bitterly, my voice trembling. And you? What did you treat my love as? What did you treat my mother's life as? Just another obstacle in your relationship with Mariana? The weight of those memories crashed over me like a tidal wave, suffocating me. I needed to get Adam out before I lost my mind. But he grabbed my wrist, tightening his grip. He needed to argue. Needed to win this fight. I struggled against him, my breath coming in ragged gasps. And then, a dark figure emerged from the shadows. A fist flew. Adam staggered back, hitting the ground with a stunned grunt. A warm hand draped a coat over my shoulders. Michelle, are you okay? I shook my head, but my body betrayed me, trembling uncontrollably. Adam pushed himself up, pressing a hand to his jaw, disbelief flashing across his face as he stared at the man who had hit him. Who the hell are you? How do you know my fiancé? Then his expression twisted with rage. He turned back to me, his voice seething with venom. So this is why you suddenly wanted to break up? You were cheating on me all along. His glare burned into me as he spat. Michelle, wake the hell up and look in the mirror. Who else would even want you besides me? I almost laughed. Once he had held me close and whispered that he would give me all the love I had never received. And now he wielded his words like knives, stabbing at the weakest parts of me, the places he knew would hurt the most. I reached for my phone, ready to call the police. But before I could, the man beside me lunged. Grabbing Adam by the collar, he yanked him forward. Then he turned, flashing me a reassuring smile. Don't worry, Michelle. I've got you. Adam was no match for him. Within moments he was clutching his face, stumbling back in defeat. But even as he fled, he still had the audacity to turn back and declare, Michelle, you'll come back to me. I know you will. You'll see, I'm the only one in this world who truly loves you. The only one who will always be there for you. I slammed the door shut in his face, shutting out his voice, his arrogance, his delusions. Then I curled up on the floor, silent tears streaming down my face. For a long time I didn't move. Not until the weight in my chest loosened just enough for me to breathe again. Finally I lifted my head. Damon, thank you. Damon scratched the back of his head, looking almost sheepish. So you do remember me? He chuckled. I actually saw you yesterday and thought I was imagining things. I heard you arguing just now and got worried. Wanted to make sure you were okay. His voice was warm, steady, so different from Adam's sharp, biting words. I shook my head, offering him a small, grateful smile. I'm fine. Really, thank you. Damon didn't pry. He didn't ask why I was crying. Didn't demand to know what had happened. He simply nodded and said, get some rest. If you need anything, you know where to find me. Then with a boyish grin he added, I never moved. I still live right next door. So if anything happens, just call me like you used to when we were kids. So much had changed over the years. The man who once promised to love me forever had betrayed me. The mother who vowed to stand by me always had left this world. Nothing in life was certain. Nothing was predictable. And yet Damon was still here. Once the world quieted down, I threw myself into distractions. I cleaned the house from top to bottom, trying to fill the silence. I washed Damon's coat and returned it to him. And over the next few days, he stopped by often. Sometimes to bring me small treats. Sometimes to visit the cemetery with me. Sometimes just to check in to remind me I wasn't alone. And for days Adam never showed up. I thought he had finally given up. Thought he had finally left. But then I saw him. Standing at my mother's grave. Adam was still wearing the same clothes from the day he first showed up. But now his shirt was wrinkled, his entire presence disheveled. He looked exhausted. Hollow. Michelle. His voice was hoarse, his lips curling into a weak, miserable excuse for a smile. I've been trying to see you, to talk to you. But that damn neighbor of yours has been guarding you like a watchdog, never letting me near. There's nothing left for us to say. I didn't even feel hatred anymore. Wasting a single second of my time or energy on him wasn't worth it. I had expected him to lash out again, to spew the same cruel, cutting words. But this time he just stood there in silence for a long moment, then slowly lowered his head. Tears fell. Michelle. I don't know how things got this bad. I never thought you'd really leave me. These past few days, Mariana's been pressuring me to go back to work, but I just can't. I keep thinking, if I go back, if I walk away now, I'll lose you forever. And 8 years, Michelle. 8 years, I just can't let go. What did those 8 years mean? They meant nothing to him when Mariana pouted and batted her lashes. They meant nothing when he threw me out of his car. They weren't worth a second of his concern when my mother lay dying. He wasn't devastated because he had lost me. He was devastated because he had lost a maid who gave everything to him and asked for nothing in return. Disgusted, I shoved him aside and wiped my mother's gravestone clean. You don't belong here. Neither I nor my mother ever want to see you again. Adam didn't resist. He let me push him, let me shove him aside. But the moment I got close enough, he lunged, pulling me into a desperate embrace. I'll fire Mariana. Is that what you want? She won't ever come near us again. The ring, I brought it with me. I always planned to marry you, Michelle. It was never a lie. The things I said, I meant them. I love you. I ripped myself out of his grasp and slapped him across the face. Hard. He instinctively reached up, pressing a hand to his cheek. Something slipped from his fingers, a diamond ring, tumbling through the dirt until it landed at my mother's grave. I froze. Then my stomach churned with nausea. I had seen this ring before. It was the same one Mariana had flaunted on social media. The same ring she had worn when she gushed about her 100-day anniversary with Adam. A wave of revulsion crashed over me. I kicked the ring away as if it were filth. Adam, get the hell away from me. His eyes flickered with desperation. But I didn't let him speak. Just looking at you makes my skin crawl. The thought of you makes me sick. I would rather die than be with you again. If you ever show your face in front of me one more time, I swear. I grabbed a rock from the ground and hurled it at him with everything I had. This time I didn't hesitate. And this time, Adam didn't dodge. Blood dripped from Adam's forehead, staining his face as he stood there, motionless. Tears mixed with blood falling silently to the ground. He looked utterly lost, as if he couldn't comprehend what was happening. You really hate me this much? His voice trembled. I thought, after 8 years you'd still care. That you wouldn't be able to let go. That you'd come back to me eventually. But you... He swallowed hard, his eyes pleading. You really feel nothing for me? The beautiful memories Adam spoke of, they weren't beautiful. Not for me. Every moment of comfort he enjoyed came at my expense. The emergency funds that saved his failing business. I had sold every piece of jewelry I owned to scrape that money together. The meals that were always perfectly suited to his taste. I had spent hours researching, cooking, and perfecting them. The spotless floors, the freshly pressed suits, the organized home. They didn't magically maintain themselves. And Mariana would never do for him what I did. What Adam truly missed wasn't me. It was my labor. My sacrifice. My silent, unwavering devotion. And after 8 years of giving him everything, what had I gotten in return? Nothing. Not even dignity. I had spent my entire youth learning the truth about Adam's selfish, hollow love. And even though I had nothing left, even though I was starting from zero, I still wouldn't go back to him. Because now I had one thing I had never had before: freedom. I would use every ounce of my strength to build a new life. A life where Adam did not exist. Adam must have realized it too. He fell silent. For a long time he sat there, head buried in his hands, silent tears streaming down his face. Then at last he spoke. "I'm sorry." His voice cracked. I never knew how much you suffered. I took your love for granted. Took you for granted. I never stopped to think about what you had to give up for me, what I made you sacrifice." Then he lifted his head again, eyes raw with desperation. "Michelle. Please. Just one more chance. One last chance. I swear to God I will make it up to you. I will never let you carry the weight of our life alone again. I will love you the way I should have from the start." There was a time when I would have believed those words. A time when his promises would have shaken my heart. But now they were just noise. I let out a quiet, empty laugh. If promises meant anything, my mother would still be alive. If promises meant anything, we would have never ended up here. Then I met his gaze one last time, my voice firm. "Adam. Stop lying to yourself. If the roles were reversed, you would have left me long ago." Without another word I turned away. Damon had been waiting nearby, silent in the shadows. Without hesitation I walked toward him. Toward the only person in this moment who truly cared whether I was okay. Together we left without looking back. Adam's broken sobs echoed through the cemetery. But this place had seen too much grief, too much regret. No one spared him a second glance. Later, I found out that Damon had gone to see Adam one last time. I never asked what was said between them. All I knew was that after that night, Adam never appeared in my life again. I did, however, receive a few desperate calls from Mariana. She cried about how Adam had become a mess, drunk, miserable, losing his grip on his company. She sobbed that he had taken back everything he had given her. The house. The gifts. Everything. Yes, the house was now mine. Adam had transferred it over to me, but I never accepted it. Mariana. She was left with nothing. Her reputation was ruined. Her future bleak. She begged me over and over, pleading for me to give Adam back. I blocked every number she used. Until one day her name, and Adam's, disappeared from my world entirely. And finally, I had my new beginning. With Damon's help, I opened a small flower shop in my hometown. Every day, we picked the most beautiful bloom and placed it at my mother's grave. Damon even helped me rebuild the garden behind my house, filling the yard with flowers. One bright, sunny afternoon, as he wiped the sweat from his brow, he looked at me and grinned. "Anything else you want?" I thought for a moment, then smiled. "I want spring. A spring where the past no longer haunted me. A spring where the pain was nothing more than a fading whisper. A spring where I could finally stand beneath a sky full of sunlight and watch the flowers bloom."